Yeah man, what's up y'all? It's your boy TBT, the Brainless Trader, and I'm back with another video. Today I'm trying to share with y'all my thought process on why Forex Bias is more important than order blocks. Yes, I said it. Forex Bias is more important than order blocks, and let me tell you why. The reason being is that you have to understand the higher time frame bias before you can use order blocks, fair value gaps, any PD arrays that ICT or any SM smart money concepts. Really and truly, whether it's supply and demand, whether it's support and resistance, you have to understand the higher time frame bias. By that I mean the trend. What is the major trend, right? So I already kind of went over this a little bit in my previous video, so I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I essentially just want to talk to y'all about the Forex bias. So one most important way that you can kind of establish what your bias is basically using the fair value gaps, right? So if I turn this little indicator off that I showed y'all in my previous video, I can just delete this now. You have to understand the overall fair value gap bias, what the fair value gaps are telling you. So as you can see, I've got a few fair value gaps. Let's just go on the daily just to make it really clear, okay? So on the daily, you see I've got a few fair value gaps. I've got one here. I could say a sell side imbalance. It's a fair value gap. Same thing. It's an imbalance. It's a sell imbalance. Okay, cool. That's what that means, right? A fair value gap, if it's staying open and it's not being traded up into or past it, that signals to you that the market is still bearish, right? As long as it's a bearish, a sell side imbalance, right? Similarly, if we were on the other side of the trend, like last year, right, you see certain fair value gaps. See one right here that essentially is staying open, right? Price is not closing it in, so price is expounding, right? It's shooting up, and it's not closing this area in. You know that price most likely is going to continue in that direction, especially once it trades back towards it. You know that if it's staying open, it most likely is going to continue in that direction, right? Now, you got to understand basic trends, right? You're understanding that when a trend is trending a specific way, you're going to get more, like for example, a bearish trend, you're going to get more lower highs than higher highs, correct? So look, lower high, lower high, lower high, in reference to the previous point, correct? But alongside with that, you can use the fair value gaps to even further give you that definition of where the market is going. Now, when the market is sideways like this at first, it's kind of hard to tell, right? So you kind of have to take your time. But even up here, you see there's a fair value gap that's open, stayed open. So as long as the price stays below it, you pretty much have your way to tell which way the market is going. Now, that doesn't mean you can't take counter trend trades. You can. Like liquidity is breached here, liquidity goes back up here to try to get buy stops here. Sell stops breached, buy stops breached. You can take trades in those directions, right? You have to know what you're looking for. You want to be looking for that order block. You want to be looking for that fair value gap across from the order block. You want to be looking for that breaker if you can find it, correct? But your imbalances on a higher time frame basis is the best way for you to tell what is really going on in the market, especially when you get large imbalances like this, right? When these fair value gaps are staying open and not being traded past, especially if they're staying, if price is staying below 50% of that specific fair value gap, you really have a solid chance to take those sell side trades if it's a sell, if it's a bearish trend, right? Same with a bullish trend. If you're seeing these stay open, you have a higher chance of taking buys, within those trends, as long as they're not being breached. Yo, if we being honest, for real, it don't matter even if you understand how to use the order block, right? Because if we don't understand what I just explained to you with market bias, then you won't even know which way you're going regardless, right? Me talking about how you can continue in a certain trend if fair value gaps aren't breached is very important, because that way you know which side of the market you're on. If you don't know which side of the market you're even on, then how in the world do you expect to be able to even make solid trades half the time, correct? So that's why I want y'all to understand that order blocks have no influence on anything if you don't even understand what the market bias is. What are other ways to determine the market bias? You can be looking at the DXY. Understand, if you're trading foreign currency that's paired with the US dollar, you can be looking at the DXY to tell you whether or not the US dollar is strong. You can be looking at reciprocal trades, opposite trades in the DXY that can tell you which way you should be going in foreign currency, especially if the trade sets up like an order block, a fair value gap, and then trades back into that fair value gap, gives you impulses and leaves. The same way that I tell you to trade the Forex market, the same way that ICT has taught us to trade the Forex market or indices, is the same way that the DXY works, so that you know that if it's trading one way in the DXY, it's trading the opposite way in foreign currency. These are just little tips and tricks that you can use in your trading journey to learn and blast you above where you've been at to profitability. Now, what will get you to consistency is learning how to consistently apply the proper bias using the proper setup, the setup that you know is right for you in order to be successful. That just takes time and practice. And if you're willing to go that far, if you're willing to spend a year and a half really trial and error and getting really solid in your model, I'm telling you, no one can stop you.